Everyone. I am now done grading with lesson one, and I wanted to give you some feedback. I like to do this if I can every week to kind of address some of the things that I saw like consistently throughout. Usually just to make sure everyone's clear on the key concepts. So I'll just go through a list of a few things here that I think are important to just reiterate in terms of lesson one. So remember, this was the overview of sustainability and systems thinking and a few other things. So a few things I wanted to address. Number one, just make sure as we move forward, we will be evaluating a lot of the content through the lens of the three E's. So everyone seemed to be pretty clear on environment and equity. Just make sure you remember with the economy that refers to not just being financially sustainable, or like a business making enough money to keep going, or a person making enough money to keep going, but true economic sustainability is establishing an economic system where everyone is able to thrive and have decent living and so forth. So it's an economy that works for all. That's really what economy is all about. In terms of ecological footprint, I think a really common point of confusion. I think the concept itself, I think, is very intuitive, which is one of the things that I really like about it. But if you total up all of the ecological footprints, so you take the ecological footprint of everybody on Earth, right? You total it up. If it equals one Earth, that's actually okay from a resource perspective. Now, there's other implications, but strictly from a resource perspective, if we have one Earth of ecological footprint, that's okay, because that means the Earth can continue to provide that. Okay, so it's the amount of land and water that can continually provide and support a population or an individual. So one Earth or less is okay from a resource standpoint. Less than one Earth is great, and most of you indicated that, because that means that we'd actually be increasing our resource base. But if we just maintain one Earth, that's sustainable from a technical standpoint. That means we have just enough to support the population, so that's okay. And then if we have less than one Earth, it's going to go, the resources are going to go up. If we use more than one Earth, which is currently what we're doing, we're using 1.4 Earths worth of resources. What's happening is the resource base is going down, and so we get less resources over time. Another thing that I think hopefully you gathered throughout the lesson is that there's no universal definition of sustainability. There's a bunch of different definitions out there, and none is technically more valid than the other. However, you should know that the Brundtland Commission's definition from 1987, from Our Common Future, is the most widely accepted definition, and that's meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Okay, so that's something that you're going to hear that in the sustainability field because it's the most famous definition. But just so you know, sustainability has, there's no singular definition, but I think hopefully you have a good, idea of what sustainability really means. Resilience was another, kind of important theme. And so resilience is something that you hear a lot about in the sustainability field. Remember that resiliency is the ability to bounce back to your original state after encountering some kind of a crisis or something that impacts it negatively. And so resilience is really important. Crises happen. There's crises, there's natural disasters, there's not so natural disasters, like war and things like what we're doing with the environment and climate change and so forth. And so things happen. Bad things happen. And the idea behind resiliency is not so much what it means, but how we do it, right? So in order to be sustainable, we have to be resilient because things are going to happen. Climate change is going to continue to happen, at least to some extent. There's going to be another economic collapse at some point. So the idea behind resiliency is how do you establish systems and societies, economies, and social structures and so forth that can bounce back after crises happen. And the more resilient we are, the better we are able to bounce back and sort of sustain what we're doing. And there's also some some folks propose that our societies aren't sustainable as they are currently structured. So when crises hit, they propose something called adaptive resilience, where we sort of like take those crises as a lesson. Like, okay, based on what happened and what we think could happen, we need to restructure our society in a different way, right? So not just bounce back to the way we were, but maybe adapt and become a new, sort of adapt and have new structures set up so that the next time a crisis hit, we're more prepared. So resilience, the point is resilience is a major theme in sustainability, something you'll hear a lot, and so it's important that you understand the basic concept there. And I think that's it. So hopefully that helps clarify some things. I hope you enjoyed the content so far, and I look forward to reading more of your insightful answers. All right.